are still some red tomatoes on here, which is it's amazing there are oh sorry. It's amazing there are any red tomatoes on my plants still because my kids picked them all.
Oh.
So things are slowly kind of my potatoes are kind of starting to die, which is fine. I'm kind of ready for them to be done. And then lots more tomatoes. They're all ripening.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wonderful. Have you
beans are
tried?
kind of crazy. More tomatoes. I have a giant zucchini that I have to pick.
Oh, wow. The yellow
That's
one.
my like third one in 2 weeks. So my sunflowers, I didn't expect them to actually bloom. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cute. You got the dwarf ones.
So, and then my pumpkin, yeah, they're dwarf. Yeah, they're only that's as tall as they'll get.
It's
So, but I would plant them again. I was like, I would do that. I would do it again. They're cool.
yeah.
My pumpkins have are all turning white. The leaves are all turning white. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like, yeah,
And you've harvested a
it
few.
is what it is. I've cut off a bunch.
You've
I
harvested.
there are four pumpkins in here, three pumpkins in here, but I mean, I don't know that they're quite ready, but I was like, does it matter if they're already they're as big as they're gonna get because they're like dwarf kind, so that's as big as it's gonna
Yeah,
get.
you can ripen them, pick them, and then ripen them on your doorstep. And so just remember this bed. Hello, chicken. Just remember this bed and don't plant the pumpkins there again next year because
Yeah,
they might
yeah,
die. Or at least don't plant the variety that you have because then there are
right,
bacterial wilt resistant varieties. Um,
yeah,
so we can talk about that next year. Just remember which bed.
okay. Yeah, I need to be better about writing which varieties I planted. I often write like I planted pumpkin, but I didn't necessarily write like the kind. So
Uh-huh.
here's more beans, and the nasturtiums are growing. They're so
Oh,
pretty.
beautiful. They're so
This
cute.
is my this is my kids' bed,
Uh-huh.
and so we didn't really know it got planted significantly later. But even the carrots we picked out of here are pretty big,
Wow.
so that's good.
Yeah, and nasturtiums, they like it in the cool. They actually don't like
Yeah,
it
they're
in.
just so pretty too.
Yes.
So and my strawberries, which I planted not even that long ago, they're blooming. We've already had a few strawberries from them, and now they're blooming again. So,
Wow. Yeah, that's wonderful. They're just gonna spread, which is great. You'll have more next year.
yeah. And I think I am going to get a few
Few more.
more plants, but then I just have my zinnias and my cosmos are kind of I gotta deadhead them, but I wanted some to maybe get seeds, so I was kind of letting some of them dry. And then this one finally came up, so so
Oh,
things are going. It's just trying to keep on top of it all. Between my cucumbers and my beans and my tomatoes and the squash, it's kind of a lot some
it's a
days.
lot to process, right? So now you're like in the processing, using it up phase. Have you considered,
Yes.
and you probably are already doing this, giving some away to your neighbors or
Yes, we have done some of that. I mean, it's like it's so funny because my mom will be like, "Yeah, like we picked like 12 buckets of cucumbers, so we gave a few buckets away." I'm like, "Okay, I don't have that many cucumbers. I have like 12 cucumbers, which is more than enough,
yeah.
but I don't have 12 buckets." So,
Your mom has 12 buckets, you said?
yeah.
Wow, how big is her place?
Her garden is probably as big as my yard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. She's a
They
good.
live in the country though. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have a giant amount of land. So,
Okay. Wow. All right. So, are you thinking or of what to put in? Now is the month that you'll probably be pulling out some of that stuff like your potatoes. Have you dug up the
yeah.
potatoes and seen if there are potatoes underneath?
Yes. I mean, I haven't pulled any up, but I'm hoping they're growing.
Yeah.
But so I have seedlings going for like my winter garden, and
Yes.
I have started to put a few in, but I think right now it's just the space is the issue. Like there's too many other things growing that I can't put anything in yet.
I would say,
So where there is space, I have put some, but I really just wanted to plant it in the bed where the two beds where the sunflowers are. So
yeah.
it's like they're like the bigger beds. But so that has like the pumpkin and the squash. So I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
So, oh, because the pumpkins and the squash have like that bacterial wilt in it, so you're like,
Well, no, it's just also like I feel like they're gonna go longer. So I'm like, well, this was kind of dumb. Maybe I shouldn't have planned planned on putting them there. I don't know.
no. You learn.
But
Where, especially where there's bacterial wilt, I would probably clear that part out. Pick the pumpkins there and have them ripen on a stoop, and then you have a whole bed. That's
okay.
You can start with that as your bed one, and
Okay.
kind of let's see how long the other guys go. At least it's just one. You've got how many beds? Eight.
It's six beds. I mean, the two big beds are almost like two raised beds together.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then, yeah, so you can sacrifice one. In any case, that's the one that they're already producing the fruit. You've harvested the fruit. They might not go much more because of the bacterial wilt. That's
Yeah, I mean, that's really, I chopped off a bunch I was just like, okay, I'm going to get rid of these leaves that are pretty much dead anyway.
Mhm.
But it seems like since then, it has spread to all the other ones, even the ones that had looked healthy.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, ugh. So, yeah.
So yeah, let's just get rid of that one and then start from scratch there with something to feed the soil. So in
Okay.
in the article that I sent 2 days ago and yesterday I talked about it too on the monthly garden planning session. We talked about, and maybe you know this, like heavy feeders, heavy givers, and light feeders. Have you heard of that term?
Yes. And I just can never remember which ones. I mean, I know like tomatoes are heavy
Yeah.
feeders, but
Yeah.
I think there are some that I'm like, well, where do they fall? Like, what do they do?
Yeah, so if you're not sure where they fall, they're usually light feeders. I said
Okay.
top roots, so here, so that we get it into like visually. I'm more like a visual learner, so anything that's a heavy feeder is your star player with lots of minerals such as tomatoes, squashes, and brassicas. And sometimes we don't think of like leafy greens as heavy feeders, but if you did cauliflowers, collards, or kale, those guys are heavy feeders. And then
Okay.
anything that's a heavy giver is legume, peas or beans. So that's what you'd like to follow them up with. Or if you
Okay.
don't have, you don't want to put peas in yet, or you can put in, or you already put in peas and that's not enough, you have lots of room to put other things, then you can put leafy greens that are not brassicas, like lettuce or
Okay.
bok choy is brassica. Lettuce or mosh. Mosh is not a brassica.
Yeah, I have those seeds, so I could put those in maybe.
Yeah, or root crops such as you can start if you want to keep the potatoes going. There you can winterize your potatoes, but
Okay.
carrots, parsnips, beets, because then they will overwinter and you'll pick them around like whenever you get a warmish month, like
Mm-hmm.
when it might be maybe in December, November, you can you can still pick those carrots even under the snow if your soil is warm enough.
Right.
You,
Well, and those two beds, like I said, so we're gonna cover them. Those are gonna be the winter beds.
oh, good.
So
Yes,
I
keep the box in
ordered,
the house.
so the stuff is coming. I ordered it. So to make them and it was a kit, but it had everything I needed and it was enough
Yes.
because it's not a huge area. So yeah, so it's coming with the hoops already done.
Already bent.
Um,
Already bent.
yes,
Yes. So you don't have to buy the bender, right?
nope, and
Yay.
it's all coming. So it might take 2 weeks to get here. I think that'll still be okay.
Yeah.
And then I ordered just a row cover
Uh-huh.
just for before I have to put the other stuff on. So that should all be coming shortly. So I think it's just kind of dealing with this time in between and trying to get my seedlings in before it really freezes.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Tell me, what
so
are your
we'll see.
seedlings?
I have a lot of things started. You know
Just like
me.
you had a lot of things started in the spring.
You know me. I like to go big. It's just why start slow? Just, if
Yes.
we're gonna have a house, we're gonna do a whole huge garden and chickens. Like, why start slow? So yeah, so I
Go for it.
put
Go for it.
yeah. So I have a few cabbages. They're like, it's not a head of cabbage, it's more like open leaf cabbage, I guess. I can't remember. It might be related to kale. That
Okay.
got put in the one bed, and then just a few. I have way more seedlings. As usual, when I plant seedlings, I'm like, we'll see how many come up. And then they all come up. And I'm like, I don't really need 40 things of cabbage. That's kind of a lot. Um, and then I have broccolini. So some of those went in. But I have bok choy and golden beets and some other things. As usual, my parsnips have not come up.
I loved your
I
turkey
really want
there.
I really want parsnips. I don't think they're ever gonna grow. I'm just whatever.
Wait, is it
It,
for me? The parsnips, Harold model parsnips? Was I
yeah,
so those guys, they're probably I would just get new seeds because they are the ones that expire the fastest.
yeah, and maybe that's what I need to do. It's just like whenever I try germinating them, it's just like it's such a low germination, I think. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
I
don't know what.
think you need to
But yeah, so anyway, here are my seedlings. They're growing very happily out here on the porch.
not.
They are quite thick. This one is
Is that
it
right?
is anymore. I don't know. I guess it'll be a fun surprise. Like I don't know if you saw my surprise turnips that I had forgotten I planted, and then it was like, oh, this isn't mustard. These are turnips. Now we know.
You have them? Like, did you pickle them? Did you put them in your seed?
I only picked two because we were just kind of like, oh my gosh, because they were huge. And so I made them with potatoes, and my kids were like, they're okay. And I was like, okay, so maybe we'll have to come up with a different way to try them.
Oh,
So maybe it will be pickling, but I mean, the ones I picked were like more than this big. They were
they were
huge.
huge. They were like,
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And there's a lot more in there. So I'm like, okay, got to figure out what to do with those.
oh
But
wow. Yeah, those are amazing. Um, yeah, so you have a lot going on. Do you have any legumes?
um, I have peas in the one sunflower bed. They kind of seem like they're getting done. They just kind of look like meh. The other bed, I don't know because like I said, the pumpkin kind of took over.
Yeah.
There is stuff growing underneath it. Like I found marigolds the other day. I was like, oh, there are marigolds in here. Because they're just growing under the pumpkin leaves. So here, I'll try to show you if I can. Now all of a sudden it got like extremely sunny. Yeah, there are carrots in here too.
Okay. Yeah, I see them.
Carrots growing happily.
You
Um,
know what's chomping
here,
on your looks like something's eating the tops of your squash, your pumpkins. Is there some deer?
well, it could be. I don't know if it would be Japanese beetles because I have had a problem with those. So here's my marigolds kind of hiding under the pumpkins.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Oh, here's another sunflower, I guess that's
Oh,
gonna
cool.
bloom now. A little baby
Yes.
one. So there are other things in here. I think just like once I get the pumpkin cleared out, then I'll really be able to actually see. I don't know if there are any legumes in here. I don't think I planted any peas in this one.
Okay. Well,
So
there's just like something that you can start to like one if you were to start one more thing or if you have like a little space there.
yeah.
I just put in like fava bean in between everything to boost
Okay.
most of the things around it and so that I have a bean for the fall. But
Okay.
if you forget, that's okay. It's just something that would feed the soil too. Boost
Yeah. And
the rise of
then for my other beds, I was planning on doing the lasagna stuff for the winter.
okay.
So I was wondering, like, I have a bunch of stuff from the chicken coop. So where where does that go in the layers, I guess? Because
Okay.
I would put like the cardboard. So then would I put like the chicken
In the lower layers.
stuff?
Yeah, I would put them
Okay.
in the lower layers. But definitely sandwiched, not not the top layer or not on the super bottom layer, somewhere in between, so that
Okay.
because they'll be higher nitrogen and they can activate the decomposition of your lasagna garden level layers. It's not really a hard and fast rule what the layers which should follow which. The only
Okay.
for me is the top should be the straw and the bottom should be the cardboard. And if you have like rodents in your area or whatnot, then I put the food scraps underneath the cardboard just so that it's
Okay.
hidden. But
Yeah, because we have a bunch of stuff in our compost, but we've been, I feel like the worms need to multiply again. I don't know. They aren't keeping up. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff in there that isn't broken down yet. So I was thinking of putting
yeah,
that in
half
there
broken down stuff.
too.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
definitely do that, and that they like it because maybe there's something imbalanced in your compost bin, but when they get to the soil and the ground, they balance themselves out, and then it'll decompose faster, and then you get like a clean slate on the worm bin or in the compost bin, and you can start again.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely add the chicken poop for sure somewhere in the middle to activate
Okay.
the whole pile to make it warm in the middle because that's going to be the hottest thing. And straw or hay is one layer because you have a carbon, you have a nitrogen, grass clippings, um,
Okay. Because
Amazon.
then I was gonna grab, maybe our neighbor has a giant tree,
Uh-huh.
and maybe grab her leaves and
Yes.
put that on the top.
Yep, that's on the top. Yeah, we've done that too. You can put that as your straw on the top. Um, Shredded paper from if you have a paper shredder at home,
Hmm.
where I put it too. What other things? Yeah, sawdust, like anything else that you can use in your backyard. The 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 clippings from I wouldn't put like the night I wouldn't put like the diseased leaves of your squat pumpkin there. I would put that in
Yeah.
the compost that's gonna get hot and burn up. So
Oh, okay.
but I wouldn't put it in the lasagna bed if I had a choice. And then
Okay.
in between the
Yeah,
layers,
because I wasn't actually even sure if I could even compost those at all, because I've just been throwing them in the garbage.
yeah,
Because I
you
was
can do
just like,
that
I don't
too.
really
If you
know that
don't
I want these back in there.
Yes. So that's another thing. Like if you want to be careful about that, then you can just put it in the garbage. There is a way to, to zero waste it, but you'd have to be mindful of how you compost where it heats up to a certain, and you have a compost thermometer. It heats up to a certain
Oh, okay.
temperature. I think it's 160 Fahrenheit. And then when it gets to that point, it'll kill all the pathogenic bacteria. And then
Oh,
you do
okay.
that for 3 days, like you check for 3 days, and then it'll go down.
So I wonder if I did that with, if I took all the chicken poop and put that in there, if that would heat it up enough.
You
I
put the
mean, I'm not going to, but if I was to do it that way, maybe next time.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
because
Maybe
it's
not
like
this
that's
time.
why there's a master class like on composting, and the composting is in the master class. Because the first year you're just gonna get to know your garden. You're just gonna see how much you can actually grow. But like next year or the year after, when you're trying to refine the composting, then you can do ninja stuff like that a little later.
Yeah. So if I was to take all this stuff out of my compost, like, do you just buy new worms? Because I was like, well, I mean, I don't necessarily need to get new worms, but like, how do you
Okay.
keep the worms in your
Yes,
compost
good
without
question. So this is
getting?
I might have a video of this because I think I videoed somebody doing this, a professional worm composter. And so he dumps everything out on a tarp, and
Okay.
there's no elegant way to do it. You just wear gloves,
Yeah.
and then you just separate the red wrigglers from the compost
Okay.
if you can. And then the finished compost, then that's what you use. But of course, they'll still have eggs of red wrigglers. Of course, they'll have a little,
Right.
but at least you have a little pile that's just your pure red regular worm,
Okay.
and that's what you can put back in your
Okay.
composting. What does
Gotcha.
your composter, your composting worm composter look like? Is it a tub? Is it
Yeah, it is just a bin. It's nothing fancy. It's just this
Oh,
bin sitting
cool.
on cinder
Yeah.
block, and it is prolific. I mean, now I feel like it's kind of gotten crazy. Yeah, look, all my worms, they're very happy.
Oh, cool. They're even on the top. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I do also have night crawlers in there too.
okay.
So
And it has like holes for them to get the air.
Yeah, so there are holes, and then it's two bins on top of each other. So then the one is kind of like letting the stuff come down. I don't know how much actually has come down.
Yes.
And then there are rocks on the bottom, so they can't really fall through.
Oh, cool. That's smart. Well, make that one day project so you're not doing the garden and that. And then you can just consider yourself like, okay, I did a win. I did the compost bin. That was the one thing that I needed to do. Not like
Yeah,
set yourself up and you're like, I have to do the compost and I have to plant the seedlings and school and all the other things that you need to do. Like
I know. I was thinking, oh,
number one.
when our winter stuff comes, I was like, this is going to work out because it'll probably come about the middle to the end of September, and that's probably when we're going to have to put all the garden beds kind of to bed for the winter. I mean, except for our two. I was like, this might kind of work out, but yeah, it's a little wild. I was telling my husband, I'm kind of ready for it to be done. For
Yes.
like, I'm kind of ready for like the insane amount of produce to kind of taper off.
Oh my gosh. I hope you're feeling really, accomplished because of all that you've achieved. And when you get to that point, stuff will slow down. There'll be less
Yeah.
stuff in the garden in 2 weeks than now in a month for sure. And the worms will also slow down so that it'll be easier to separate them because they'll be
Yeah,
more sluggish. Right now they're still active and it's still hot in there.
right.
So maybe that'll be the time a month from now that you start, doing that lasagna garden bed. What do you think? What were you thinking? When were you going to start it? In two
The
weeks?
lasagna bed.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. It probably will be like the middle, like the third week of September. We'll probably
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to do that
I think that
because I think that's our break week. So this is our fourth week of school. So we do 6 weeks and then we take 1 week off. So it'll probably end up being like that week that I kind of do everything that I
okay,
need to do for the garden.
good.
So
Okay. I like that. I like that. I think that'll work well. And yeah, anything else you wanted to consult? Everything you've said is your
no, I think it's
time.
good. It's just kind of figuring out how to keep on top of it and not let anything go to waste. And yeah.
Yeah, and there is no waste because anything that does, you just put to compost. It's not a waste. Um,
Yeah, the other day I found a cucumber that was half rotten, which was really sad. It had like kind of fallen down and had been like touching the ground, so it had gotten kind of like mildewy, moldy, whatever. And I was just like, ugh. And so I gave it to the chickens. I was like, I don't know, should I really give it to them though? Because it's kind of gross. They loved it.
oh my
They were eating
God.
on it all day. I was like, okay, I guess you do love it.
They look so healthy. They look so healthy, those chickens.
They're very happy and they really love being out, which is I'm just like, as long as they stay in our yard, I don't. They are their wings are not clipped, so I always have a fear that they're gonna like realize they can go into somebody else's yard. So
Uh-huh.
far,
They haven't
no.
realized.
So yeah, they haven't realized that, and I'm okay with it.
I'm sure it will happen one day. But
Yeah, and our neighbors are. I mean, I think they think they're pretty entertaining too. I think it would just be mostly like they eat so much grass, and
mhm,
a lot of our neighbors spray their yards, so I would just be kind of nervous about that.
yes, yeah.
But I don't know. Can only control them so much because they don't listen. My daughter is actually trying to train them to like come to her and like do tricks. So
Is that working?
she's got no. They as soon as they see her, they get really excited because they think she's going to give them something to eat. But she's trying to get them. Her earlier today, she was trying to get them to walk up a ramp to get a tomato. I was like, I feel like probably this is too soon because we've only been doing it for a day. I don't think they've been associating you enough with food yet to be doing actual tricks. But
Who knows? Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. That gives me a lot of like things to look forward to for our own chickens, hopefully in the spring.
yeah, they're super funny and just constant entertainment.
Wow, you
So
have two big goals, the way I see it. One, the lasagna garden beds, and the other is the hoop housing beds. Is that
yep,
right?
the winter bed. Yep,
The winter beds, yeah.
yep. So that'll be my next project. Everyone I've told about it actually is like, that's so cool. So it's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah,
Even people who are not interested in gardening, we're just like, ooh, what's that? What's a winter garden? Like, huh?
I'll show you.
Yeah, you'll see. I'll tell you how successful it is or not. We'll see.
Oh my gosh.
But that's
Yeah,
okay.
you'll see. It'll be fun. It's a fun experiment. Always.
Hmm.
There's always something good that comes out of it. It's never like, oh, this was a waste. There's always going to be one thing that survives or one
Yeah.
carrot that you pick. So,
And
please.
I told my husband too, I was like, if we didn't try it, I think we would be mad at ourselves. But
Yeah.
so like, why not try? Like, who cares? Like, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. And we're out a little, but it was still kind of a fun experiment. But if we don't try, I think especially with all the cost of food and stuff right now, it's like we might as well try.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And you're mad at yourself because you miss one window. You'll be mad at yourself when you go to the grocery and you're like, I could
Oh my
do
gosh.
this. Or
I know. Because even right now, still, it's like, I mean, we barely buy a lot of stuff.
oh,
There's so, like, I never buy vegetables because why would I buy vegetables?
oh my gosh, Kelly. Yeah, that's like
So,
golden what you just said. I wish I could say that right now. That moved. But we're like growing and our seedlings are this tiny. We have so much.
yeah.
We must have like over 12 trays out with 4 divisions each. And
Oh, yeah.
they're not growing fast enough.
Patience. But yes, it is hard because you're like, no, we want it to be, it's so easy just to be like, I want it to be at this point. And it's like, well, just takes
But it
time.
will be in 3 months, I bet.
Yes.
Well,
Yep.
thank you, Kelly. Thanks for sharing it. Sharing
Yes. Thank you.
with us. Here's your garden goals. I'll remind you again in 2 weeks just to keep you on track.
Sounds
But you are always
good.
on track. And we'll see you next month.
Okay.
If you have
Sounds
any
good.
questions before then, just ping us in the forums and I'll share your recipes.
Okay. Sounds good.
All
We'll
right.
see you later. Bye.
Bye.